Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Grace.
So, Bill C-2, that is a hot topic these days.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what it's about?
For sure. So Bill C-2, or the Strong Borders Act, is this big proposal that the Canadian government put forward last week. And it's this really sweeping document of all these measures, like 130 pages or something,
130? Wow.
that the Canadian government is proposing sort of in the name of like national security.
Okay.
But almost immediately, a lot of alarm bells are going off, especially for like civil liberties organizations and human rights organizations, because some of the measures proposed specifically target the rights of refugee claimants and different avenues for asylum in Canada in a way that's quite concerning and could actually violate international law.
So it's concerning, it's alarming. What is it proposing? Can you name a couple of things?
For sure. Yeah, so it proposes pretty drastic changes to certain categories of people who would experience difficulty or not be able to access the refugee protection system. So one of those groups of people would be anyone who enters Canada via the US. They would no longer be able to apply for refugee status. Another group of people would be anyone who's been in Canada for more than a year.
Okay.
And the big challenge with this one is that there may be people who didn't need refugee protection when they arrived in Canada, but life circumstances change and the world is changing too.
Very much.
Global politics are so unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so perhaps someone who didn't need refugee status when they arrived in Canada may now actually need protection from Canada. But under this new bill, they would have no means of accessing that support.
Yeah. So one is people that cross the border, they can't do that.
Yeah.
They won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legally
Exactly.
they're allowed to cross the border,
Yeah,
but they would not be able to apply
according
for
to
asylum.
Right. Okay. And then the other thing is that families or individuals that have been here are now in a position where they could be sent back to the countries that they came from and forcibly removed from Canada.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
If their permit or their visa, expired.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. The government is proposing giving itself a whole lot of power and kind of indiscriminate power to be able to cancel documents, visas, permits, even applications that are already in process for large groups of people.
Right.
And when they're being asked about, what qualifies the government to be able to do this, it's if it's in public interest. And that's really all that it's very vague, very unspecific language that they're using about this. So that's definitely causing this like flagging concern for sure too.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that families facing persecution or torture may be unfairly denied refugee protection here in Canada. Yeah, to be honest, that sounds very vague. And I'm curious, is this because of an issue of national security or like what's that about?
Yeah. So, I mean, this bill is being proposed in the name of national security.
I see.
What is really concerning is the rhetoric around what the government is doing by including issues of the refugee process and the asylum process in this bill, because whether they're doing it intentionally or not, what the government is doing is taking these families and individuals who are fleeing violence and seeking safety, and they're putting them in the same category as things like narcotics and weapons as posing some national security threat. Yeah.
That just seems very concerning, and it doesn't seem Canadian to me. Because Canadians actually believe that everyone deserves a chance to live in safety and dignity. And this whole bill is doing the exact opposite, which is, alarming for sure.
Yeah. So, definitely the measures in this bill feel against Canadian values. And legally speaking, actually, Canada has obligations to provide due process for asylum seekers to be able to make a claim in Canada. That's according to Canada's own Charter of Rights, as well as international law that we are signatories to. And so if this bill is proposed, or if the bill is passed, it'll actually put Canada in violation of its obligations to refugee human rights.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very concerning. Yeah.
We believe that Bill C-2 is contrary to the values of welcome, hope, care, love, rooted in our response to people who's been forcibly displaced. That's why we invite you all to take a step for those who have no voice. So please go to your MP and tell them you reject Bill C-2, share this message, join us in praying, and become informed by checking our link in the bio, and support Journey Home community with providing caring communities. And thank you so much for supporting us in this critical time.